Welcome back to Film Cove, where we're going to be reviewing Andor Episode 4. So,
That's an understatement.
after we watched Andor Episodes 1 through 3, we ended up watching a little bit of Hot D, and we watched the first episode because we're a little bit behind, and I loved the intensity of that.
House of Dragons. If you don't know.
Yeah, House of Dragons.
Yeah. House of Dragons.
Hot D. So we watched the first episode, and it was hot. It was really good.
It was really good.
Really intense. And
really
I
good.
felt like this episode of Andor kind of brought that intensity too. So we start out, Andor's on the ship with Luthien, I think that's his name. And turns out he's not a senator. He's basically like this salesman. But they're on a ship. Andor is still kind of like, oh, I don't know if I should be doing this.
Kind of whining and
yeah. But one of the things that caught my eye was like the pilot area, the cockpit, I guess you'd call it, looked a lot like the Millennium Falcon. I was like, oh, this is so cool.
It did.
And then they had that little like AI thing that would like,
the cameras that switched around.
Yeah, it was so cool. And then he's like, oh yeah, just do this and this autopilot. And I was like, wow, that's awesome. He doesn't even need a co-pilot. So I guess Chewie is out of a job. But no, I thought it was really good. And then he kind of convinces him to stay, being like, you can hack away little bits at the Empire, but at the end of the day, don't you want to make an actual difference? So I thought that was
okay.
cool.
So I'm going to pause you right there. I said in the beginning, I don't get why he specifically chose Cassian.
Yeah.
Like, why is he choosing Cassian for this mission? Is that how you pronounce his name?
Yep.
Yeah. So why is he specifically choosing Cassian for this mission? Obviously, it gets into it that he hates the Empire too. But for me, I was like, okay, there has to be something else that we'll learn later on.
Like maybe he just thought he'd be the most loyal to the cause. I'm not 100% sure. I'm kind of curious about that too. It seems like he knows a lot about Andor, which is kind of like weird. I mean, not weird, but also kind of weird. Like,
well, it's funny because I was like, okay, Cassian was talking. He's like, oh, I served in the war and only like 50 people survived. And then Luthien's like, yeah, but the only reason why you survived is because you ran away and you were a cook. So like it was like, okay, then if you knew this, why did you choose him?
You served.
Yeah. It's like, why did you choose him for such a major mission? So I think, like I said, that I think we'll figure out later on. But that just kind of grabbed my attention, and I'm kind of curious to see if they answer it.
Yeah, and so we watched it a second time through a little bit, not all the way through, but we watched it a second time through, and like I was kind of blown away with the little like Star Wars Easter eggs here and there the first time that I watched it, but I didn't even realize it. You're not like as intensely involved in that.
Mm-hmm.
So now the second time watching it through, I was able to see it through her eyes. They kind of jumped around a little bit, and I kind of rated the plot a little bit lower because of that. But other than that, that and the music were the only two things that I really kind of thought were missing from this episode. I loved the acting.
Acting was great.
Oh yeah, the cinematography was on point as always. The underlying themes were really good. And then it definitely had that Star Wars factor. I mean, when you see a cockpit that looks like the Millennium Falcon, it's hard not to feel like you're in Star Wars.
Well, and then we were saying the first 3 episodes didn't really connect to Star Wars or didn't feel like Star Wars. It didn't have that nostalgia. This absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, there is many ways more than one that they just included it. I just wish they would have done it sooner because I feel like they could have grabbed people's attention more.
Yep. So after Andor decides to go on this mission or whatnot, we kind of get a scene of this white room. It's kind of behind the scenes of the Empire. I want to know your take on that. Like, what were your first impressions of that? What did you think of?
Wait, which scene?
The white room where like all the security head honchos are kind of together.
Oh, in that giant table.
It's talking about the Empire.
Yeah. I don't know. At first, I thought the woman was good that walked in and sat down, the blonde hair with the bun. I was like, oh, she's good. Like, she's undercover. Like, she works for the rebellion, whatever. And then later on, obviously, that's not true. But, right?
I guess to be determined,
Do you think she's good?
I don't know. I guess we'll have to see. I think she's just... No, I don't think she's good. I think she's just doing her job. She's talking about that blonde chick who had the bun and was, like, trying to get in everybody's business.
She wanted, like,
climb up the ladder kind of thing, So the White Room was really cool because right away they mentioned Ryloth. And if you don't know, Ryloth is like a planet that is kind of known for its rebellious nature. So in the Clone Wars, I'll just give you a little backstory. And my wife's probably going to cut this out. But
no.
Basically, Ryloth, like they asked for help from the Republic for the clones to come in and liberate them from the separatist system. but they didn't want the clones staying there because they wanted their independence. And then like you can see it in Rebels and a couple other shows and episodes. They kind of they like their independence. They don't like another government overseeing them and trampling on their rights. They really don't like that. So that was really cool to hear that. And then it was, I really loved, like, this was one of the underlying themes that I loved, that the main head honcho, that old guy in there, was like, so what do we do here? And the blonde chick is like, well, we do security.
She like read the
like basically
legitimate like dictionary of the job description.
And then he's like, that's right from the book, but that's not correct. And he's kind of comparing their whole system to like how a doctor would like cure a disease. Basically,
he's really good at manipulating them into acting
making
like
them into being the good guys. And it's like basically saying, well, all these rebels are just diseases, and we need to identify them and take care of them before it spreads and like causes So I was like, damn, that's cool. So then we moved to like Andor getting included in this new group, and everybody's kind of looking at him like, who the heck's this guy? Like,
upset. Like it's like 3 days before the mission. We've been planning for 5 months.
Yeah, it was kind of cool seeing that tension in between there, because I was like, dang, like I would hate to be him. That's the thing. Like I would absolutely hate.
But you get why they're mad.
And then like he's getting paid and nobody else is, and then like I honestly wonder too. So Luthien said, "Oh, we're stealing money from the Empire," but then you brought
payload.
You brought up a good point. Like the Empire has plenty of money, so I feel like they're stealing something else. This is kind of like a different base. Maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like they might be stealing something else.
Well, no, and then you made a good point too. He was saying that they're very discreet on what they say they're exactly stealing. So then if someone gets captured by the Empire and like tortured and they're giving the information, they don't have all the information. So they don't know, well, if they just hear, oh, they're stealing a payroll, well, where and what? It could be many things in plenty of different locations. So they kind of be discreet until like the day of.
Oh yeah. Yep. So that was really cool. And then like as soon as that episode ended, I can't wait for the next episode to come out, because I want to see them try and rob this facility.
They had a good plan too. At first you hear it and you're like, okay. And then they're like, well, every 3 years, one night is like, the stars are almost like a shooting sky, or there's like millions of like shooting stars in the sky, and it's beautiful and it lights up the sky, and that's how they can get out and leave.
Yeah.
But it's going to be horrible to actually enter in the space because it's like meteorites.
It's like a meteor shower kind of thing.
So I'm gonna because it's excited to see that. See how we dodge that.
Because Andor thought it was like a suicide mission, but it turns out it might be actually possible.
It could be feasible. Yeah.
And then like I was just like so blown away. Like one of the things too is they mention a lot of stuff for like heavy Star Wars nerds, which I didn't think this show was going to be, because the creator of it actually doesn't like Star Wars and he's been kind of vocal about it. But they mentioned the Rakata, which is really cool, part of the old Republic, which if you don't know what that is, you probably should look into it. It's basically these aliens that came in and they tried like I gotta research it a little bit more too, but look into the Rakata on YouTube. I'm not going to attempt to know what, because it's comics and I didn't read much into the comics, but they mentioned Saw Gerrera, and then in Luthien's like little store, he had a bunch of like Easter egg items. Like there was like Star Killer's armor, there was supposedly like a Jedi and Sith holocron somewhere. If you watch Rebels, there was like Hera's little like the what the hell, the Twi'leks, they make this little art thing and it's passed down through their families, that was hiding in there, and there's a couple other things too. But I was like, dang, this is like really cool. So I was like sweating, like just try to pick out everything, and I watched a bunch of videos. So it was cool. It basically,
I didn't notice it.
What it comes down to is it felt very Star Wars to me. So, and then what I got to sorry to go back to the ending, but is that basically the soldiers just want Cassian to have their back, and that's why they're so like headstrong,
hesitant.
Like, are you just a hired gun, or do you really believe in the cause?
Yep. Do you believe in the cause? And at the end of the day, are you going to support me if stuff goes down?
Absolutely.
Like, are you going to have my back like I plan on having yours, or are you going to abandon ship?
Yep.
Yeah.
So then going through, is there anything else that you have to add before we go into the grading scale? Because I know you guys have been waiting here for like what we would rate this out of 10. But
No, but you know what? It's way better than the first 3 combined.
yeah, I am
Like
so
I said, the
pumped.
first 3 they could have made into 1 episode, and that's it. The only complaint that I have is that they rushed stuff a little too much, whereas I wish they gave more detail into the plan, into Cassian and his background, or why they specifically chose him for this mission, and stuff like that. Otherwise, it was a really good
It
episode.
was really good. Okay, so I'll go through my grading. Plot, I gave it a 7 because, like I said, I felt like it was a little rushed.
Mhm.
And then acting and dialogue, I gave a 9 because I thought that was really good. Cinematography, I gave a 9 because it just looked amazing. Oh my gosh, the TIE fighters. Wasn't that cool?
Oh, hearing that sound.
I love that sound. It's like, that's so cool. It
Brings us back to childhood. Yeah.
The theme and the underlying message, I feel like I gave a bunch of examples during this that were really good. So I gave that an 8. The sound and the music. So the one thing about this show is like the music's been kind of like not prevalent. So I give that like a 3. And then the Star Wars factor, I gave an 8. So that, 7.3 to 7.5 out of 10 is kind of where I land. So yeah, I thought it was a lot better than the first 3 episodes. I'm just kind of a harsh critic when it comes to stuff. So
I mean, I would give it an 8 overall.
8 out of 10.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing is lack of music.
Yeah, the lack of music.
And then
it also. Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt.
No, go ahead.
It also feels like some of the parts maybe didn't require music too, and that's why it was a little bit lacking. But I feel like Star Wars, you already know a way to incorporate. You always should know a way to incorporate music. Yeah.
Well, and then I'm thinking like when they're like hiking this mountain and she's getting to know him, you could have like little, like it kind of in the background, and then just do a scene of them like hiking or something. Like I don't know. I feel like there was ways they could have like slipped in music.
Yep.
Star Wars is known for their music. So, I mean, even Mandalorian.
Oh, Mando music?
I mean, Book of Boba Fett had music too.
Yeah, it wasn't Boba Fett. It was kind of funny. But, yeah, no, Mando music though. Oh my gosh.
That's amazing.
So good. Yeah. I love that music. Dun, dun, dun,
We're big into the music because it's like you hear it and then it automatically puts you in the zone. Yeah. It puts you in the mood. It's, But otherwise, like I said, I'd give it like an 8. I think it was a lot better than the first 3. I mean, and I'm just so excited for the next few episodes.
Well, thank you for listening to this entire video and hearing our breakdown and review of episode 4 of Andor. If you liked it, please subscribe. Tell all your best friends about it. We're going to be on this journey together throughout till the end of this show. And then
we'll do Lord of the Rings next.
Yeah, we're also going to try and do Lord of the Rings. And maybe Hot D, since I really liked it. We'll see.
We'll see.
We also have kids, so it's kind of hard to find.
We have 3 kids. So.
But okay, so we'll see you in the next video.